heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha, would like to thank all of you for liking, sharing, subscribing to Anuradha Vedic Astrology and writing in your comments and suggestions there. Today, we are going to talk about a very different shlok from Jatak Parijat and the very subtle meaning connotations along with it. Sir, a warm welcome to you and a heartfelt.
My pleasure.
Sir, before we begin, I'd like to request our viewers to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and also press the bell icon so that you can keep getting our notifications as and when the videos come out. So, sir, we are going to talk about a very special shloka that is coming from Jatak Parijat. Sir, what is so special about this shloka?
See, what this is saying is, Jivasya Vyage Shano Sahazape. Labhe Tava Bhaskare, Rife Lagna Patho to Nirjaragura, Urveshara Yogave. Now here, it's very obvious. If Saturn is the Lord of the third, the ascendant has to be Sagittarius.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's pretty clear. No other way it can be. The problem is the Lord of the Lagna is in the 12th house. Okay. Third Lord is not supposed to be very good, and anyway, he's in the third house, 11th house. That's okay. He can, I mean, one three Shadaya Lord in another house gives good results. To that extent is all right. Or even Sun. Sun happens to be the ninth Lord for the, Sagittarius Lagna. So that is fine. But if the Lord of the Lagna itself is the 12th house, why should he become King of Kings? Is a question. And now here we will have to go to something else, which is, if you go to Bhavartha Ratnakar, it has some exception to exceptions, and he says Dhanu Lagna is Gatasya Eka Dashasta Sare Dasha. See, if for Dhanu Lagna specifically, if Saturn is placed in the 11th house, Shiva Prada Yogo iti Bhavati Vibhudottama. That means then that gives a very good yoga to only Dhanu Lagna people. Now, why is the question? Again, because see, we think that if Saturn is there, he's Lord of the third, even he talks about, I mean, Bhavartha Ratnakar talks about the Dasha also, that Dasha is very good. Whereas he is a Maraka. Lord of the second, Lord of the third are absolutely Dusthanpati. And by, the common connotation or meaning that we understand of the Dasha, it ought to give bad results. So why in the 11th and what is there? See, if we look at it, we understand one thing very certainly, that it is in its place of exaltation. In exaltation, Saturn gives the least trouble and the best results. So that is one part. Then we have to understand he is aspecting the 8th house. 8th house is also called as Durga, that is fourth of a king. See, 8th house has many things, which is, what is called as Randra, a deep cleft in the earth, and the occult, as people say, or things which are not to be seen, the sexual organs again, which are not to be exhibited. So whatever is secret is there, but it is also fourth. It is also the other side of a river. Another Tare is said. So here Saturn is aspecting. So what he can do, he can destroy the, force of somebody. Oh. Now, for Lagna, the 7th Lord is the opponent. Isn't it? And opponent's wealth is being destroyed by this powerful, very powerful Shani.
Saturn, yes.
And this Jiva, the Lagna Lord, is in the 12th house. The body of the Jataka will only be okay if it goes in distant lands. And he is also Lord of the 4th, the motherland of the Jataka. So if he is away from the motherland, then that Lord Guru aspects the 4th house again, giving him lot of vehicles and whatever you want and happiness. His body is also protected there. Otherwise, he would be sick and he would lose his self-confidence, because it is ultimately 12th Lord, Lagna Lord, who indicates your confidence as well as your body. In the 12th, there will be expenditure of body and the confidence. But that does not happen because he is going to the distant land and taking away the wealth and the force and everything of the opponent, which for a king was always another
Very
king.
important.
And
Yeah.
that is why he is Urveshwarajo. He is king of kings, so which is called as emperor in English, Samrat in or Sarvabhauma, we call it generally Sarvabhauma Raja, or we
Right.
call it, or Samrat we call it, as Lord Rama said, is the horse to go
Ashwamedh.
everywhere. And by the way, Dhanu Rashi, the symbol of Sagittarius, is again a horse and an archer. So now you put all these things together and you understand, oh, otherwise what is there? Why should he have power? Nothing happening in the 10th house. See, 10th house is recognition and X and Y and other things. That is why I call it, this is a shloka which at first sight doesn't make sense at all. Lord of the
Right.
second in the 11th is okay. He can earn something. It is also a good argala for those who know Gemini from 11th argala is there. That is fine. Third Lord going to the 11th, he will earn on the basis of his valor. Now, to defeat an enemy, you need valor. And for them to accept you to be the supreme king, of course, you have to defeat them. All this is coming together, and that is why this shloka is very important. Otherwise, it doesn't talk about anything else. And he says in Dasha of Saturn. Oh, I mean, that is what the Bhavartha Ratnakar goes one step ahead, which is not mentioned in the Jatak Parijata. And when we bring them together, then we understand what does it mean, why should he be king of kings. And nowadays, I mean, in the current time, he may not be king of kings, but he would be pretty powerful is the way you look at it. If he's an industrialist, he might acquire more companies or whatever, especially gas, etc., etc. Saturn represents gas and oil and everything, and I'm sure everybody knows. We talk about the petrodollars, isn't it? And somebody who controls them could have this sort of combination. This is how we have to look at it. Of course, the entire chart must be analyzed. I mean, you can't just go like that. And by the way, remember that that is also natural. In natural zodiac, the 12th house is the Rashi which is owned by Jupiter himself. So here a lot of things are being brought in. Jupiter is the Dhanakaraka, the grantor of wealth, and this is how it manifests. Jatak Parijatkara has made it very simple to understand, saying, yeah, the Lord of the Lagna has to be in the 12th house. Lord of the third has to be in the 11th house. Lord of the third house should be Saturn. And or that is what he says. Or Sun can be there. Why Sun can be there? Because he is Lord of the ninth. So
And
it
in
could be both. Some learners say, no, both Sun and Saturn should be there. I think that would make more sense because that would be in rare cases that you will find both of them together there. Saturn and Sun together. So rarer the combination, perhaps better the results. But I think Saturn will have to be anyway there, and maybe Sun will join it. And I base my explanation or analysis on the shloka of Bhavartha, the great Bhavartha Ratnakar, where it is very clearly mentioned that for Dhanu Lagna, Saturn in the fifth or Saturn in the ninth give top class results. For other planet, other Lagnas, it doesn't. This is what is again also said in the earlier shloka, but I am not talking about it because we are not talking about the fifth bhava being occupied by. Even there, you can understand the seventh house is aspected by Saturn. That is the house of opponent. And for your, power to be accepted by other who is your competitor, naturally he has to be defeated. Doesn't mean he has to be eliminated. He has to be defeated in the sense morally or financially or whatever. He accepts your,
place.
power. That's it.
Sir, it's a very beautiful thing. Again, sir, another question that I have here to ask you is that Bhavartha Ratnakar also has showed that Jupiter in the 12th house is good for many lagnas, especially Aries lagna, and particularly for Aries, and now it's for its own lagna also. And because of what you have also just now given clue to, that it also aspects the 4th house, the 8th house.
Yes.
So it does give a person a lot of happiness. So basically, as per what we get from the classical texts, that Jupiter in the 12th is really not that bad as we think that all the benefits in the 12th.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. See, this is how we look at it and how that Jataka utilizes his resources. I always say chart You are born, you are not going to be born again. So what is the use of astrology if everything is going to happen like this? No, you understand the resources, the weaknesses, the strengths, use them properly. So if this king, if he doesn't go in distant land, then what happens? Then he loses his happiness. He loses his bodily strength also.
And he
That will
may
happen.
contract a
Saturn
disease.
aspecting the eighth house can give him breathing difficulties. So he
Yes.
better move out. If he moves out, then he can control others. So this is the unsaid part of it, which we many a times miss. And you will find many people with such sort of chart coming and saying that I am not growing at all. Tell him you better go to distant lands, and that is where you are supposed to succeed, not in your own land. So that is how.
Thank you
Others.
so much for this beautiful explanation, sir. And thank you so much for um, letting us know piece by piece how it works out. Thank you very much, sir. We have a class of Bhavartha Ratnakar going on with sir, and Laghu Parashi classes that we have done earlier in Hindi have been a success. So if you are really interested, do contact us on our website or on our phone, WhatsApp numbers. Till we meet with you again, stay safe. Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.